And again, the simple, plain Jane, ugly one. Although the creative team wanted to do this, you know, in 3D with a pop-up book, you know, or whatever, it was that, that audience wanted to hear that way.
Augmented reality,
So that's an example of, testing and understanding the audience, and even though you want to push the envelope and see what they might be willing to, what they have an appetite for, the results sometimes will surprise you. Text versus beautiful imagery.
Yeah. Mine's a much more personal example because I'm a consultant, so if I have 10 to 12 accounts per year, I'm full up. And I always say it's great to have thousands of people read my content, but I'm really writing for about 10 to 12 because that keeps me good and busy. So what I had to do is I needed to define basic marketing principles here, folks. How is my content different? I focused on B2B marketing versus B2C. I focused on social media as well as mobile media. Was I adhering to the principles and commandments of SEO so I could make sure and pull in that relevant content? And was I creating it in different forms and formats? I do text posts, I do slideshows, I do videos, and I'm also looking at some mobile pieces coming up as well. And that brings in, I always say, may all your leads be inbound because then they're qualified and it's a much easier sell. But that not only helps me to get more attention to me, which is the beginning of the sales call, but it also helped for me to get attention from the trade media pubs, Marketing Crofts, B2B Marketing Online over in the UK, and Business.com's B2B blog. Those are let's say media outlets that have hundreds and hundreds and hundred percentiles more than my readership. But I was able to get their attention because of Basic 101, differentiating content, and then able to get work as well as speaking engagements and the like. So that's just a very personal example on how to actually use these principles and to make a living through it. So, and over to you.
So for us, we work with, I think probably everyone knows, Budget Rent-A-Car. You start to think about how the buying experience around renting a car seems at this point pretty straightforward. It's actually not. So, as you get more familiar with your customer, it becomes easier to start to market to them. But we start off with reaching out via email campaigns and SEO. We can start measuring to see what messages are actually resonating and bringing them to the site, right? We can use A/B testing to start to figure out, okay, based on keywords that they're coming for, they're more likely to purchase X type of vehicle. You can start to then look, when you have integrated commerce, you can look and say, okay, what pricing levels do we need to be at for this type of audience, right? You can also start looking, integrating a content management system to say, hey, you know what? Let's offer the GPS after they've made the purchase. And you start to see the user behavior based on the point of entry. Did they come in searching for a particular keyword? You start to look at even things like, do they leave mid-cycle, buying cycle, and come back? You can look at that referring URL. Were they over at Hertz, right? And did they come back? So are they typically a bargain shopper? Are they looking just for the right price? Once you know and you start to see their buying behavior, you know more about them, well, guess what? We found that people who are shopping for economy cars, all they want is a coupon. You have a 5% off coupon, they'll go and use it, right? So in the second purchase and the follow-up purchase, if they've actually purchased or rented an economy car, guess what? They're going to get a coupon. So you raise your rates a little bit, then discount it via coupons and just always offer the coupons. But it's true. I mean, no one should ever rent a car without using a coupon, by the way. So you do those kinds of things and you start to get better understanding. Now, from a marketer's perspective, you need to have access to the information about their buying and that behavior, right? And look at how do I create campaigns and send out campaigns based on criteria of my audience segments. And so hopefully you can see all those things tie together. And the more they purchase, the more you know, and the more in aggregate numbers, the better off you are at marketing. Does that help?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah, it's
Really
a good
good. It's not
question.
as specific.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I rented a car this weekend and I did not use a coupon. Damn. Anyway, Rick has a question.
We all know that the world is moving to mobile.
Mhm.
What do you people think will be the killer app that will enhance that process? And if it's some form of real-time marketing, what will it look like? Not in terms of what the content is, but something else. Will it be content or advertising? What will be different that makes it real-time that will help drive that market?
The killer app is we're already seeing the killer app. Oddly, the killer app is the mobile extensions of Twitter and Facebook. Okay? So I think Twitter has grown by 40 million accounts since April, might be May, because of mobile. So that's the killer app. Honestly, I joke around a lot and I say, what do I use my mobile phone for most? It's not texting, it's checking the clock. Widgets, utilities. Utilities are, if you can take your brand and make a great utility out of it. Quick example, Hoovers, which is business intelligence. They now have a mobile app that arms the sales force with what's called Near Here. It uses location-based services and GPS, and they'll say, if you're in this vicinity, guess what? This guy that's also on your prospect list is within 10 miles. So you might want to check in and see if he has a few minutes to talk with you. So utilities are very helpful. QR codes, have you guys heard about mobile barcodes and all of those? Those can be very helpful because you know what? It's a pain to have to type in long addresses with your finger or to be able to get information. So the killer app right now is actually social. And how that's going to net out is pretty much anyone's guess. But it's just astounding that the only set of media ahead of mobile in the entire world is, does anyone know? Transistor radios. Yeah. And the first world uses mobile for core practices like banking and healthcare and all of that because they don't have broadband. We use it for Fave 5s and ringtones and stuff like that because we do have broadband. So jump in. Anyone?
Well, I was just thinking about what you were saying on utility, bringing your brand to something of relevance through a mobile app, and working on a project right now for Decon, which is a rat poison company.
Oh,
Mouse
New York
traps.
needs that. Yes. Okay.
And so,
Yeah.
so basically, you take your phone, and if you see a rodent, you snap a picture, and it knows where you are, and it puts a pin on the map, and so there's a rat density chart that shows the United States.
Can you imagine a city? Oh.
And so then
That
you
is the first time I've ever heard of that app. And that, high standard here, nice.
so
Rat density, what?
It's Decon,
Rat density.
yeah, so basically it would be it's a map showing where all the rats are at.
Party M.
And but it doesn't end there. So you have an opportunity for major newspapers and media outlets to use the map as a
Right.
widget on their site, which shows rat density.
Combine that with
On-
jackets.
Yeah, so where are they? We actually had some concern of folks taking snaps at
and this one's being
restaurants.
taped. I love it. Okay.
Yes, at restaurants would be not a good thing. So
Well,
check-ins, you have the mayor mouse, I don't know.
This is real-time content.
Yeah. So it's building utility out of your brand.
No,
Make
it's-
something relevant
yeah.
that you can use.
So I don't know what the killer app is going to be, but I think the interface is going to be the touchscreens, the iPads, and the other clones that are following suit. A few weeks ago, a colleague of mine was at a conference in London with Science Online, and over half the scientists there had iPads. So again, think about your audience and what they're going to be needing in the applications they need. But a scientist working at the bench, they always have the written lab notebook.
yeah.
And for years, people have tried to figure out the ELN, the electronic lab notebook, to replace that, and nothing has come close. And now, all of a sudden, you got these scientists carrying this around, and I don't think it's fully there yet, but I don't think it's in the distant future that will replace the physical notebook. And we will want to have applications, but what they'll be, who knows?
and think of your brand and how you can extend that. Look what Nike's doing, you know, Nike's so cool, just do it. And it's such an aspirational brand, and now with the app that it has, it will help you track where you're going to run to. I understand they have certain shoes that have chips in them so they can tell you how you're doing. And it also brings it that much further and says, do you want to get in touch with others local to you that also are passionate about running? So it's that whole cult following into a whole culture. So how can you extend your brand? Whether it's running, mice, competitive intelligence, who knows, you know? But I do think it's utility-based.
Right. I mean, it ties into what we were saying about service being the new selling. It reminds me of like Virgin Airlines, for example, in their app, they have one called, I think it's called Taxi 2. I think that's what it's called. Have you guys used it? Where it's like if you are on a Virgin flight, actually I don't even know if you need to be on a Virgin flight, but basically you can, it's an iPhone app that you can check in and you can find out who else might want to share a cab with you, go to some hotel. So it's a real example of it's not about your brand, but it really furthers it and it creates utility for your customers.
Real quick, I'm a big fan of action points because they mean action, but also because I love you guys. We need to make sure that apps are a choice, but a mobile website is absolutely positively not. No matter what phone that whatever mobile device you are accessing the web from, iPhone, BlackBerry, Nokia, doesn't matter. As long as they have web enablement, they can get to your site. A lot of times they'll say our site is mobile optimized. You need to ask your executives in a room to sit down and within 30 seconds do 3 functions on their phone and see if it's actually optimized, because it's usually not. But that's the first point, because within 3 to 5 years, this is the first web device that people will access the web through. And that's not too far.
Right.
And it needs to be like 5 pages, scroll down. You can't have, all your great marketing words. I know, I hate losing them, but you can't.
The site is
That's
often,
an action point, though. Fair point. Go ahead.
to build on that, the site is your first chance to make a first impression.
Yeah.
And if the mobile site, and it's all kind of sideways and hard to use, it's not going to be effective. So make sure it's well dressed. Make sure it's ready.
Doesn't have to change its shirt.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, that was very soundbitey, by the way.